Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Good morning, 8:09 a.m. Hope you are fine and you have arrived at your workstation or your destination. Thank you for watching us wherever you are. Well, it's indeed very, very cold. So in case you're still home and you're leaving, make sure you have something to keep you warm. Don't forget to carry an umbrella. And in case you have infants, well, you know what happens during such weather. And some have already broken off for holidays. Most of those on kindergarten, pre-primary, they are now home, some schools. So be very careful to ensure that they are in safe hands, but they are also warm. Because, you know, this is dominated by colds everywhere. Keep them warm. And, of course, give them some immune boosters. I'm Robert Chirabonyo. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda Extra, an extension of Good Morning Uganda. But I cannot forget to remind you that every weekday, we are here, the Fantastic Four and the big team behind the scenes, to ensure that actually we kickstart your morning with all information that you need to know locally and, of course, internationally. So make it a date with us. Start your morning with some bit of laughter, some bit of jokes here and there, but also very informative way to begin your day. Now, tomorrow is World Day for Safety and Health. It is recognized internationally, and of course we shall do the same back home here in Uganda. And joining me on set to discuss this is Andrew Nahabwe, who happens to be the Occupational Health and Safety Specialist and Technical Director at Center for Occupational Safety and Health, Uganda Limited. Andrew, you're most welcome to our studios.
Thank you so much. Good morning, viewers. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you have hosted me when we are about to commemorate World Day for Safety and Health at Workplace. Thank you.
Could you by any chance supporting any football team?
Of course, I do. I do support Arsenal, the club that was playing against very many clubs last night.
Yes, and, indeed. Well said.
Yes,
and there were so many clubs actually.
Yes, and Range of is still Range of, you know, yeah, it's still Range of. We are still on top, and yeah, we are glad, you know. Conceding 4 goals from Manchester City, I think we are not like Manchester United that conceded 7, you know, against Liverpool.
Actually, if it was Manchester, they would have gotten a dozen.
Exactly.
Yesterday, they would have gotten a dozen netball goals.
Yes. So, yeah, indeed, I'm a very fan of football, and I like it so much. Actually, I'm also a footballer.
Oh.
And all my days at school, I used to play football. A reason why even my son is in a football academy.
Oh,
yes.
Very interesting. I'm happy. Well, now I have some consolation here, feeling a bit better. Yes, we were playing against so many teams yesterday. And that is, it is what it is. We are still on top of the table, just to inform you. But going back to business this morning, which is World Day for Safety and Health. Now, Andrew, when we talk about Center for Occupational Safety and Health, what do you do?
Thank you so much. Center for Occupational Safety and Health Uganda Limited is a consultancy firm that basically helps the organizations improve the workplace conditions, and they do help those organizations by providing trainings, to their employees, by carrying out risk assessments for different workplaces, by providing or conducting audits, safety audits, this time not something to do with finance, safety audits. Then we also prepare the organizations on how they can respond to emergencies in case there is any emergency. We help the organizations now also to work on the documentation for occupational health and safety. It could be about health and safety policy. It could be about health or emergency preparedness plans. It could be about, preparing for fire emergency. We do all of that to different organizations. Yes, and of course, now there is oil and gas. Most of the organizations, in oil and gas, health and safety is very, very key.
Yes.
There is no option, and it is the first thing they will ask you about. So they want to know how you have trained your organization staff, how have you prepared your staff in order to undertake these projects, how have you, for example, implemented health and safety management system in your workplace, does even your top management support that health and safety aspect in your workplace? Because it's one thing to have health and safety policy as a company, but it's a different one when it comes to implementing. Because there are procedures, there are processes, there are plans, there are programs that should be put in place for any organization to actually work safely. If you want your staff to work safely, if you want to reduce, for example, the premiums, insurance premiums, if you want to reduce the amount of money that you spend in the hospitals by your staff, if you want to reduce the absenteeism of your staff, you have to make sure that they are safe. It means you have to give them the skills on how to work safely. Yes, irrespective of the industry they are working in, because hazards are in different workplaces, actually everywhere are hazards, irrespective of whether it is an office, whether it is a factory, whether it is a driver, whether it is a receptionist. Hazards are everywhere. So you have to make sure that your staff are safe, but also the properties. Because you could be having a building when you don't have, for example, firefighting equipment in the building. It means anytime the fire comes, the building will collapse, will go down because of fire. So sometimes we invest a lot of billions in businesses, but we forget to invest in actually skilling the staff that you have that can actually fight fire in case it comes. So it's very, very important. Skilling the staff is very, very easy and cheap compared to how much you have put in your businesses. So it's always important to look at health and safety.
Now this brings me to ask, for how long has Center for Occupational and Safety Health been around?
Oh, thank you so much. Center for Occupational Safety and Health, Uganda Limited, most of the people actually call it COSH. COSH, that stands for Center for Occupational Safety and Health. It has been in operation for 8 years here in Uganda. It first started as Platinum Management Consultants, but now the name changed into Center for Occupational Safety and Health Uganda Limited. And actually we have been at forefront of, making sure that we build a safety culture in Uganda. It's very, very important, building a safety culture. How do we, build a safety culture? For example, we come to UBC, train the staff. We can even identify some team to actually champion health and safety in your organization. We can call it, for example, a safety committee of 9 staff. Then we train them, we give them the skills that they need. The same skills can actually be imparted to the rest of the staff. And that's how we have managed to even improve workplace health and safety conditions by ensuring that we build a health and safety culture, training the staff, even we meet the top management, tell them areas that where they need improvement, and also, we also help the organizations acquire necessary information. Because you could be in need of, for example, training, but you don't know which training is relevant for your organization. This is what we do. We ask you the industry you are in, and we provide the same irrelevant training that that is actually good for your organization, that is relevant for your staff, that is very, very important in terms of improving health and safety.
Now this brings me to ask, you've talked about what you do, you've been at the forefront, but when I look at affairs as they're happening, for example, you talked about securing premises. I want to tell you, if you move around, so many offices don't have fire extinguishers. Those that have, they are long overdue for servicing. Even if there was a fire, they would totally be useless. Yes. Even the people they employ do not know how to use these. I've gone to very many organizations, and you find the word emergency exit. The emergency exit is under key and lock with big padlocks. But that is the emergency exit.
Exactly.
Then you wonder if they know English. Then I've also seen a lot of workers working in very unsafe conditions. Yes. Very unsafe conditions. And those employing them are very okay. I've heard, I've read, I've reported stories of workers who have gotten accidents at workplaces, mostly in factories, fingers chopped off, they have lost arms, they have lost legs, and they're left for whoever cares. Some end up becoming beggars, but they had these accidents on duty. Some, maybe they were coming to work, they are hurt or anything, and nothing happens, business is as usual. So why do we continue to see this increase day by day, and yet you have an organization like yours?
Thank you so much. Now, the challenge that we have here, I think we have failed to learn from the incidents that we have had in this country. We have had several fires. We have had several accidents at the workplaces. But again, we normally look at the training or skilling as an expense. And most of the organizations, as you said, they have actually even the firefighting equipment in place. But you find they have the fire, for example, fire extinguishers, but the staff they have don't know how to use them. Even the security guards that guard those buildings, they don't know how to use such fire fighting equipment. You sometimes see some of the fire extinguishers, actually they are put in a cage and they lock. We have failed to learn from incidents that have happened, and actually it's because in most cases, whenever an accident happens, we don't carry out investigation. Investigation is key. Investigation is key in that whenever you carry out an investigation, you will understand the root cause and surface causes of an accident, and then you actually highlight the areas that you need to improve, the preventive measures, you know. And as you said, whenever, for example, we have had several bigger fires, including the markets. When you go to Owino, we had several fires. But even up to now, for example, if you went to Owino, you wouldn't find some actually a way of fighting fire in case there is some fire in the middle of the market. Why? Because all areas are occupied by the traders, and therefore, even if you came with a firefighting vehicle like that of fire brigade, they will not get where to pass. And sometimes we normally blame actually fire brigade for not doing the job. But sometimes we fail ourselves. We construct a building, and you find when the building where it is built, it has no access. The vehicle cannot access it safely to fight fire. For example, there was fire at Makerere the other time on Ivory Tower. But you know where Ivory Tower is, the vehicles cannot reach there. The vehicles cannot reach there. That's why they fought hard to make sure that they fight it, but they couldn't. Why? Because where the Ivory Tower is, there are some stairs. There are some steps. Therefore, it is not accessible by a vehicle. A vehicle cannot access that place. So we have lacked some planning in when we are constructing. We don't have provisions. We don't put in place the provisions for emergency preparedness on how to respond to such emergencies, and it's very, very, very common. In most cases, we buy these fire extinguishers for the sake of having them at the workplace, but we don't know how to use them. It is very, very simple. Train, at least whoever installed them, you should at least let that person train you how to use them. Otherwise, it does not make sense to have those fire extinguishers.
Now, this also
Yes.
brings me to a quick one. Safety and health is very important. One, to the workers, but also the employer. But most of things may seem common.
Yeah.
Unless someone knows why they should prioritize that. Now, for the workers, they may not have so much to do, but why should an employer invest so much? We are talking, coming up with a policy on safety and health of the workers.
Yeah.
Sometimes it involves even changing structural designs.
Exactly.
It involves assurance in terms of expenditure. And of course, in business, any expenditure could be a reduction to your profit, yet your intention is maximization of profits. So why should this be something that as an employer I should think of with great concern?
Thank you so much. First of all, it's important to know that whenever there is an incident, if someone died in an organization, it will be all over the country, all over the world, that someone has, certain company has lost someone in their operations. That is now, that means the company name is being damaged. Why? Because we know that, okay, that company, someone lost their life. When someone loses life, or when there is an accident at the workplace, people lose morale. When they lose morale, it means they will not be so productive. It means the employer is also losing. When there is an accident, an employer will actually incur a lot of cost in terms of compensation, in terms of treatment, and in terms of actually loss of labor. Because someone will not be doing the work he has been doing if he's hospitalized. All that is a loss to the employer. And that gives the reason why the employer should actually put a lot of effort, why he should invest a lot of money in improving health and safety, safety at the workplace. Because it is actually more expensive if you don't invest in health and safety. Because if you don't, investing in health and safety is very, very cheap. You will, for example, contact me to come and train your staff. You will contact our organization to come and work on, for example, on safe working procedures for your organization. Because in most cases, the staff you employ, sometimes they take some shortcuts. If the machine has been running and maybe the power has gone off, and the procedure is that whenever, for example, the power has gone off, the machine should be switched on, it should be de-energized. If you are going, for example, to do some service, de-energize the machine. For them, they say, oh, that is a wastage of time. They will go, since the power has gone off, they will go and start, doing some service on the machine. When the power comes, that's when you hear that the machine has chopped off the arm of the staff. All that is because some staff want to take they want to take shortcuts. They don't want to follow the procedures because they have not had training in safety. Now, you can imagine, we normally, for example, conduct first aid trainings. Now, when your staff are trained in first aid, as an employer, you are saving a lot of money. Because whenever there is a small injury, they will be taking the staff to the hospital, because your staff have not yet been trained in first aid. But when your staff have been trained in first aid, you will know that you will save a lot of money because you have equipped your staff to respond to these small cases of injuries, small cases of, because these a small case that can be managed at the workplace, that can be managed by trained first aiders. And again, the employer should know that actually, it is actually their duty. As per Occupational Health and Safety Act of 2006, it is their duty to train the staff on how to do their work safely. Because failure to do that, actually it comes with penalties. If, for example, Ministry of Labor, because we have a Department of Occupational Health and Safety under the Ministry of Labor, if they come to do inspections and they find there are a lot of non-compliances, then they may, fine you for that non-compliance. They come to the workplace, you don't have first aiders. They come to the site, you have not had firefighters or fire marshals. It's now your duty as an employer, and it's captured in Occupational Health and Safety Act. It means that is non-compliance, and therefore you can be fined for that. If you are not following such, you can be fined. So it's always important to know that for the employer to know that it is cheaper to invest in health and safety than actually waiting for an incident to happen. Because when it happens, the fire, if for example, fire catches your building, the organization will be no more. You may take some other years now to reconstruct and do what. But if you had trained your staff on how to respond to fires, it will take just 5 minutes for your staff that you trained, maybe using maybe 3 million, and the staff that got that training will save you a lot of money. I can give you an example. I was working with an organization before, and our culture was that we needed to induct all new staff should be inducted on how to respond to emergencies. And part of the induction was on how to use fire extinguisher. He was a cleaner, he joined our organization. So when he joined an organization, he was in a pantry preparing some tea. He was going to have some tea. Then eventually he saw some fire from the AC. I think the AC had not had some service for some time. The fact that it was hidden in the pantry, they could. So because of having that induction, of having that knowledge, he fought the fire himself. Then he came running to my office. Hey, you know what? There was some fire in the pantry, and I fought it. And of course, I was seeing him with some the powder all over his body. He saved us a lot because the organization's records were saved. The organization's properties were saved, and he was of course rewarded with $10,000. A cleaner with $10,000. By then, it was about dollar was about 3,000. So that was about 30 million for a cleaner. So that actually motivated me a lot. It's not here. It's in Abu Dhabi.
Oh, no, I understand.
So
I was wondering.
Surprising.
Which you guys actually
so
can give you such a reward.
Yes. He saved us a lot.
Yeah,
he saved that. So that gave me a motivation even to conduct trainings for me wherever I am. Even if I have not gone to conduct some trainings, you find me doing some sort of training. You get, because I know how important it is. You know these buildings that you have, they have fire extinguishers, they have the fire, actually, even the water sprinklers, but they don't know how to use them.
Well,
and that is a challenge.
Now we shall be going for a very short break, and when I return, we'll be discussing more regarding safety and health at work with Andrew here, who happens to be a consultant in that area.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra. Glow
as you are with the new Spark 10 series smartphone from Airtel in partnership with Tecno. Own the timelines with picture-perfect selfies using the 32-megapixel selfie camera, 256 GB storage, G88 gaming processor, and a strong battery to last the whole day. Tawakana.
The Spark 10 smartphone comes with free 3 GB from Airtel and 100% bonus on weekly and monthly bundles every month for 3 months, so you can stay connected to a world of possibilities. Dial *100*5# to enjoy free data. The new Spark 10 is available in all selected Tecno shops countrywide. Airtel, the smartphone network in partnership with Tecno. Stop at nothing.
It's the encounters with our majestic gorillas. The thrill of taking on the falls of the Nile River. The joy of discovering new traditions and a lot more. Join us at the 2023 Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo from the 26th to the 29th of April at the Commonwealth Resort, Munyonyo. Rediscover our country's uniqueness and see what the tourism sector has in store for you. Visit www.poate.co.ug to secure your spot and get set to learn, network and explore. The Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo is brought to you by the Uganda Tourism Board in partnership with Competitiveness and Enterprise Development Projects. Explore Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, under the auspices of the East African Community, will host the 10th East African Petroleum Conference and Exhibition 2023 from the 9th to the 11th of May 2023 at the Kampala Serena Hotel in Uganda. Take full advantage of the investment opportunities in the East African region's vibrant oil and gas sector. To find out more on how to sponsor, exhibit, or attend the 10th EAPCE 23, visit www.eapce23.eac.int.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from that break. It is still Good Morning Uganda Extra. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono with my guest this morning, Andrew Nahabwe, who happens to be the Occupational Health and Safety Specialist and Technical Director at Center for Occupational Safety and Health Uganda Limited. Tomorrow is World Day for Safety at Work and, of course, health as well, and we are still discussing the relevancy and why this should be made top priority in working places. Why should we factor in so much issues of safety and health where we are working from? Because most of the times people look at how productive are you, how much money, what new thing are you bringing in, and there are some things that they look at so much that, well, anything can happen. So what happens in case someone is injured in the line of duty? But also, let's look at the law. What's lacking? Because these are not things that we are prioritizing in our country. Yeah. So where is the gap? Why isn't it that way? People are injured at their workplaces and there is no policy on that. Yeah. So if the organization has no policy on that, then you remain to sort yourself. If your contract didn't include anything that maybe when you're hurt, when this happens, you know, it's not a priority.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think what is lacking actually is enforcement, because in most cases, even people, the employees get issues at the workplace. They get accidents. Some people's hands are amputated. Some people's legs are amputated. But they even keep quiet. Ideally, whenever there is any incident, it should be registered actually and reported to the Ministry of Labour. Any incident, whether it involves some injuries, whether it involves some death, those incidents should be actually reported to the Ministry of Labour. What is lacking is enforcement, and again, some of the organizations have failed to be exemplary, especially the government organizations. Some have failed to be exemplary. Of course, for example, according to the law, every company that has over 20 staff should be having health and safety officer. But this is contrary to what is taking place here in Uganda. You can have actually about, if we have, for example, 20,000 companies, the percentage that has someone in charge of health and safety could be about 4% of the total companies. It could be 4%. So it means if you don't have someone in charge of health and safety, it will be a challenge to your organizations, and actually it will be a very big issue when it comes to implementation of occupational health and safety at your workplace. Because if you have not had training in health and safety, how will you now implement safe work procedures? For example, if there are some programs you should be implementing at the workplace, but how will you go about them when you have not had health and safety training, when you have not had health and safety office at your workplace? So the issue is about implementation and enforcement. The issue is about enforcement that actually now brings an issue of implementation. Then lack of, we have failed to be exemplary. Especially the organization, the government organizations should be taking lead in that. They should be taking lead in that, but they become exemplary to the rest of the organizations. But surprisingly, most companies now, they are, of course, someone dies in the factory and no one will get to know about it. It's a cover up. Yes, they cover up everything. They can engage the family. Then they talk to the family and it doesn't even go beyond their gate. You get, and it's a very big issue. It's a very big issue. Otherwise, if there was enforcement, we would at least, we would be very, very far. And when it comes to health and safety in Uganda, we are still very, very far compared to for example, compared to Kenya, our neighbors. We are still very, very far, and it's a very big challenge. And actually, that gives a reason why most of our Ugandan companies are failing actually to secure contracts in oil and gas. Because oil and gas, health and safety is key. You could be having financial muscle, you could be having good books of accounts, you could be having a human resource department that is very, very vibrant, you could be having even the rest of the technical people that are well educated with qualifications. But when because now they give you the questionnaire about health and safety, and they want evidence. Have you had training in health and safety? Yes, provide the evidence. The evidence you provide is the certificate, for example, from Center for Occupational Safety and Health. The evidence you provide will make you actually go through. But because that is the first stage when it comes to oil and gas, they first look at health and safety. Do you implement health and safety? Irrespective of whether you are in catering, whether you are in cleaning, whether you are in engineering, health and safety is key. And most of the organizations that actually have gone ahead to implement health and safety have secured now very big contracts. They have secured very big contracts. Even a partner could come like from abroad and they want a company to work with here in Uganda. But when they look at health and safety and they say, no, I think this, we cannot go. Because they'll be spending so much in damages and all that, fines, damages and all that. And even court battles as well. Yes, and of course court issues.
Now, Andrew, as a company, your firm is known for consultancy. And we know that is one other expensive venture. These are business people, to be honest. Yeah. They start their companies to make profits, and any additional thing that may seem as touching their profits, because they want to maximize, they may not welcome it. I want to tell you, our employers in Uganda, generally speaking, there is a problem. It's only the law that can remedy it. Working conditions are very horrible in terms of safety and health. Some even just fulfilling mandates of remitting, certain things becomes a problem. Now, as a consultancy firm, are there some services that maybe you offer free of charge?
Thank you so much. Of course, we do give some actually some free services. For example, if a company contacts us Even what I'm doing actually is free of charge. Because I'm giving you the information, I'm giving you the skills, I'm giving you the relevant information that can help you. And whenever, for example, at our company, actually our company is based here in Zambia at Suzy House. And whenever a company approaches us, they need some information, they need some assistance, and we do provide. Because this is key. Without free information, you can hardly do business. So there are some services that we provide free of charge. And actually, we have had, for example, sometimes we conduct free trainings to some organizations. We have had some, for example, we conducted some firefighting trainings for different organizations. And about 5 years ago, the people that we gave free services are the ones now that are consulting us, actually paying us. They are giving us money because now they have known the importance. Because they know how much they have saved in terms of expenditure on hospital bills, expenditure on penalties, expenditure on compensations, and expenditure in terms of absence of workers due to injuries. Today, most of the people, they will say, for us, for example, we are based we work in an office environment, but for sure we need this. Now, we have realized that actually people working in an office actually, they get more issues than people in the factory. And I will tell you why. People in the offices, for example, they will spend the whole day seated and doing some work on computers. Even those computers have no screen protection. Then they spend a lot of time seated. It means they don't have time to do even some exercise. Most of them drive their cars to the workplace. They reach at workplace, they sit. Sometimes they bring lunch at their workstations. It means they will not do any exercise because after work they will drive back home. When they reach home, they sit in their sofa, watch TV. Then they go to the washroom, bathe, and sleep. That is the lifestyle. But now, because of these different awareness trainings we have conducted, most of the organizations have realized that actually office safety is very, very important. Because when you, I haven't gone to your IT room, but when you go there, you just know that most of the people, for example, working on computers in IT, you will see most of them putting on glasses. A bigger percentage. If there are 20, you will find 5. Actually, you can find at least 5, and it's a big number. Now, get those 20 in the IT, and you go to the factory, get the 20 in the factory. You will find none with glasses. It means even us who sit on laptops get affected. Most of us normally have issues with backaches, you get. We feel some pain in the back and you say, I don't carry a lot of things, I don't carry heavy things, how come I've had this backache? That is a result of musculoskeletal disorders that is actually brought about by oversitting or poor sitting postures. When you change, for example, if you have been a manager sitting in this chair, and maybe you go, someone else will be recruited, and you will use the same chair irrespective of the height of that person. It means for me, if I'm short, and I've been fitting in this chair, you could recruit someone who is taller than me, and therefore you will be bending the legs. That means you are violating the natural rules of the body, and that brings about musculoskeletal disorders. So the sitting postures also are important because there are things that we should not do because they are not meant to be done like that. There are areas, for example, why should you sit for more than 8 hours or for 4 hours consecutively? That's why whenever we go to the workplace, even if it is, CEO's office, in most cases they bring CEOs some drinking water at their table. But sometimes we say, you know what? From today, we are going to take that dispenser in the other corridor so that you get some time to walk and pick a glass of water. From today, you always go and pick your tea from the pantry. not bring it to your table, because when they bring it to your table, you will find you spend the whole day seated, and that is a very, very big issue. There is a reason why in most of the people that died during COVID were actually office people. Most of them.
They had lazy bodies that were
yes, you could not fight. You could not fight back. Our bodies, you know, and even the environment they are in AC every time. AC is a very good, you know, it's a conducive environment for the virus. You get. And that even how often do you service that AC? It's very, very important. How often do you service that AC? Some time back, we were engaging some top management of some bank here in Uganda. So they were like, Andrew, we are in the banking sector. Why should we involve you in health and safety? Why should we use your services? When we talk to them, they realize that we are indeed in a very...
well, Andrew, we can take a whole day discussing that is safety and health, mostly at workplaces. But the day is tomorrow when you are going to be celebrating or commemorating this. One, if you're privy to know, well, we're going to be celebrating this day, but also let in your concluding remarks, have your message to Ugandans as far as this very important yet neglected or not prioritized issue is concerned.
Thank you so much. Tomorrow's theme actually is safe and healthy working condition is a fundamental principle and a right at the workplace or at work. That is a theme for tomorrow, and it is very, very relevant to our country. It is relevant to different organizations, and it is something the organizations should know. The commemoration will take place in Jinja. That's where it will take place, and it is tomorrow in the morning up to the evening. And of course, that is led by Department of Occupational Health and Safety in the Ministry of Labor. And as Center for Occupational Health and Safety, we are partners, of course, in that, and we shall be there also. And for those that need actually free information about health and safety, always feel free to contact these numbers, because it's always important.
Just give us a Twitter handle or your website, and that will end the day.
Just it's www.kosh. Kosh is kosh.co.ug. www.kosh.co.ug. On Facebook, you go to Center for Occupational Safety and Health Uganda Limited. On LinkedIn, it is there as Center for Occupational Safety and Health Uganda Limited. Even if you Google Center for Occupational Safety and Health
there
Uganda
you find
Limited,
all relevant information.
We are the ones that come
Thank you
first,
so very much for your time this
hosting
morning, and I hope our employers and employees have heard it is very important to prioritize safety and health at workplaces. It benefits you, the employer, but also the employee, because when you work in a safer place, you're more productive. And of course, it energizes, it's a motivator. When someone is working in risky conditions, definitely their levels of productivity may not be as good as that. So let's embrace this. Let tomorrow not just be a day of celebrating and all that, but let's know that this is one area that benefits both the employer and employee. Have a lovely day for God and my country. See you tomorrow, God willing.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.